Who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup if you had to pick right now?
Colorado's going to win the Stanley Cup.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was
Colorado's
like an insta pick right there.
Yeah, it's
no hesitation.
It's like that history of hockey thing where teams eventually they seem to get it done. They have some disappointments along the way. People count them out. They think their window's closed, and then they just seem to nip one. We saw it with Tampa. We saw it with St. Louis all those years. They couldn't get past Chicago. We saw it with Washington. I just think Colorado's do. They got everything. As much as you can in a cap league, they have everything. And the timing's right. I think they got, and this is not an insult to Edmonton, but as far as Western Conference final opponents go, that's not so bad. It's not so bad to get Edmonton. They are going to have home ice advantage. I'm just looking at previous years. I mean, like when Chicago was at their limit, or LA, like even say Vegas, like a healthy Vegas team. They got the route, man. And I think they're clicking. And I think Nathan MacKinnon is just so fucking determined right now. Like it's easy for people to say, oh, he just turned on the switch. No. He turned on the switch. He is dialed in. And I always remember his quote, I believe it was last year or 2 years ago when they were ousted. He said, like, I've been in this league, I think it was like 7 years or X amount of years. He said, he's like, I've won fuck all.
Yep, he did say that.
And you could tell that it gutted him. Like you could see the emotion on his face. Like, I haven't won. I don't give a shit about anything. Like, I want my name on the cup. Right. And two, right? Like East Coast boy, trains with Sid.
There you go. He's rubbing off on him, man.
Friggin' right.
Sid has all this hardware in his trophy case, and MacKinnon's sitting there with nothing, essentially, like he said.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really, really motivating him. And because him and Sid are close. And like you said, they train together. Those guys, both from Nova Scotia, like
they work at Tim Hortons together.
Yeah, exactly. They work in the Tim Hortons drive-through together. So
did you see that one commercial they did together? I'm sure you saw it. Hilarious. So people were driving through, ordering their coffees, and they did hockey trivia. They're like, oh, I figured you get free coffee if you answer the question correctly. And it was in Cole Harbor. Like it was in their neighborhood. And the guy's driving through, and Sid says, who won the Rookie of the Year last year? And the guy got it wrong. Okay, I forget who he said, but he got it wrong. It was MacKinnon's dad.
Oh my God.
And MacKinnon had won it.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
And he's like, Dad, it was me. Like he was reacting. So funny.
So good.
It's okay. No. My dad wouldn't remember if I won it either. So.
Yeah. Same with my father.
Yeah. Or my Italian father would have given me shit for only winning the scoring race by 10 points. And not 20 points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's Italian fathers for you. But no, you said it, man. I view this Colorado team in the same light as Tampa. Like I remember going into the bubble, I picked Tampa to win the Stanley Cup because I'm like, this team is so good. They've gotten so close. The timing is right. They have all of these star players on the roster. Like at some point, this team's going to break through.
Mm-hmm.
And Colorado lost in the second round 3 years in a row. No one thought they were going to lose to Vegas last year. I shouldn't say no one.
Well, they were up 2-0, man.
They were up 2-0 and then just completely shit the bed, which was crazy to see. But again, that was a really solid Vegas team. And they're matched up against this Edmonton team now, as well as McDavid and Draisaitl are playing. Like Edmonton hasn't gone through the tough times. They made it to the second round once with McDavid when they lost to the Ducks in 7 games. But since then, they've missed the playoffs. Like obviously they're on a run right now. But I think this Edmonton team, as good as their top guys are, like I don't know if they're quite ready for what's about to come.
It's like I say, teams always seem to win a couple years after they're supposed to win. Like Washington mentioned them before. Like the 65 goal year for Ovechkin, President's Trophy, they put up like 120 something points. That wasn't the year they won. It's always a couple years. Like Tampa, the year they got swept by Columbus, like that was their historic year. It never happens that way.
It's always the same a couple thing, years even after. With Florida this year. Everyone's like, oh, Florida's going to go right to the Cup final.
I'm going to have my take here on Florida because we haven't recorded since the end of that series because of the power outage. And if you're insulted by this, I'm okay with it. For anyone out there who was confident in the Florida Panthers and bet on the Florida Panthers, You haven't been watching hockey for the last 20 or 30 years. The team that scores 1 million goals, that's the track meet team that goes crazy at the deadline, never wins. And I don't have an explanation for that, but you know what the stroke was for me when I'm like, they're not going to do it. When they signed Giroux, I was like, no, it's too much. Like, kind of like Calgary added to Foley. That was nice. Look at the moves Tampa's made. Add to your depth, like solidify your lineup a little bit. Sherrod and Giroux, I'm like, no. And just the trade they made for Sherrod, I was kind of like, fuck you, you're dumb. You don't even
terrible
deserve
trade.
You don't even deserve it. Now, was it a first, a prospect, and a fourth or something?
Just a disaster.
And see those numbers on him. He was
their worst defenseman.
He was their worst defenseman. Underlying numbers, he was their worst by far. Like, what a joke. But Florida, man, like I said, if you thought this team was going to win the Stanley Cup, you haven't been paying attention for a long time, because for some reason, and again, I don't really have an explanation for it, that team never wins. Never.
Yeah. And no, I 100% agree with you. I've been talking about the Panthers on a number of the podcasts we've done, leading up to the playoffs all throughout the season. And another way I looked at it, people thought I was crazy. It's very rare that teams go 0 to 100. And I know it's hard. It's like, well, Bruno, you can't just base it on history, but it's very rare that you see a team go 26 years without winning a playoff series and then winning the Stanley Cup. And I look back in
you're making Leafs fans very excited.
No, I even said the same thing about the Leafs at the time.
I remember,
like it's hard to see the Leafs go 0 to 100. Like, they got to get over that hump first.
Yeah.
So do I think the Leafs are going to win the Cup next year? I mean, it's unlikely considering they haven't got over the hump. But I went through the Cap era, Lepore. The only team that went like more than, I believe it was like 2 or 3 years without winning a playoff series and then winning the Cup was the Kings.
Yeah.
It was the LA Kings. Away. They were the only team that did it, like in the entire Cap era. So I was telling people, like, look, this is the history of this. Call me an idiot if you want, looking at history and telling you what typically happens with these sort of teams. And then, of course, Florida gets swept in the second round and their offense goes dry.
Even with Florida, even beyond like playoff success, like winning rounds, last year they made the playoffs, lost to Tampa, and that's it, right? I mean, they were trash before that. So to me, it's more that, like, that trajectory of like, you're bad and then you win the whole thing. Like, no. It takes some wounds along the way, but
this year, and this is going to be a wound for them, right?
Fucking right. They should have lost in the first round. That empty net would have went in for Washington. They were done. They were down 3-1.
100%, man. That empty net goal, it like grazed the outside of the post. And then Florida comes back. They tie the game at 2 with like 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. They win in overtime, or else, like you said, they would have been down 3-1 to the Capitals in the first round.
Yeah, man.
And probably would have been done in round 1 as the president.
I would have loved that. I not that I dislike Washington, but I just don't cheer for Washington too often. I wanted Washington to win that series so bad. Call me a hater, call me jealous, whatever. I just fucking wanted Washington to nip Florida. I guess it's to get everyone to shut up about the Panthers and just all that shit they did at the deadline. Like, go screw yourself. Go in the first round, right? Fucking.
I love it, Lepore. I love.
Sound like a true Leafs fan right now, eh? Us versus the world. I don't want any success for anybody else.
We want every team to fail miserably. Besides the Toronto Maple Leafs, who've been
what's worse? We'll finish with this again. I was about the Leafs. Is Tampa winning the Cup? Is that a good feeling for Leafs fans? Because it's like, wow, we lost to the champs in 7, or is it a kick in the nuts? Because it's like, wow, we could have fucking won it.
I'm kind of torn on it, because if they win the Cup, we'll be like, wow, look, like the Leafs lost to the best team in the NHL.
Yeah.
But I'm still bitter because we've talked about this on our last couple of shows. Like, I think the Leafs were the better team in that first round series and they found a way to lose. So to me, it's a little bit more of a kick in the nuts, like what could have been. But then again, it's like, knowing the Leafs, are we that confident they would have won the Stanley Cup? Like, maybe they get to the Cup final. Yeah. But like, are you confident in the Leafs beating Colorado at that point? I don't know. I mean, it's certainly possible, but
can you imagine, man, like the what ifs, right? So I'll say it. So the way Florida showed up or failed to show up in the second round, I'm not going to write the check for $1 million to bet the Leafs would have won, but it's not a hot take to think the Leafs would have beat Florida. And if we were sitting here, I was thinking yesterday, I'm like, imagine the Leafs had beat Tampa, beat Florida, and we were sitting here waiting for Rangers or Carolina, I was like, man, I'd be confident. Like I'd be
that
feeling
series
good.
would be a wrap.
And think of the media right now, man. And for anyone thinking that the NHL is fixed or whatever. Okay, so Rogers has all the rights to the NHL on TV and all that stuff. Imagine right now it was Leafs on one side and Oilers on the other side. The possibility for a Matthews versus McDavid. Oh my God. But
that would be incredible. What could have been, man. What could have been. But
the story of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That should be the book. What could have been.
Yeah. We could be sitting here, honestly, for the next 25 years doing a podcast and they just keep losing in the first round.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Why not?
But anyway, Lepore, you think Colorado's going to win the Stanley Cup. As we sit here today, I also think Colorado's going to win the Stanley Cup. So we'll see how this plays out. Good luck to all the teams and fan bases still involved.